Bang! We are back Friday, June 11th, episode 7 of the Nosebleeds Episode 7 of the Nosebleeds Podcast. I am your host, Stash Kowalski. As always, we have
Tyler Joseph Stumpo.
Tyler Joseph. Oh, your middle name's Joseph?
Yes, sir.
So is mine. Oh, blood brothers unite. All right, it's a beautiful Friday afternoon here in the studio, and we got a lot on the slate last night, a lot of hot NBA playoff action we're going to get to, and a lot of NHL shocking moments as the President's Trophy winners, Colorado Avalanche, end up getting clipped by the Vegas Golden Knights and fall for the second straight season in the second round. Ty, Julio to the Titans. First thoughts, and why?
I think you have to consider them one of the favorites to win the AFC at
Huge
this
favorites.
point. Yeah. I think it's between them and the Chiefs, which anyone else in their right mind would agree with me. I think it's really interesting because they have already a solidified great team that made it to the AFC Championship, and then you bring in arguably a top 3 wide receiver.
Yep. Huge weapon.
And add that to the offense, and then you also have A.J. Brown, who is very blossoming into a phenomenal wide receiver, and then you have the don't even need to explain much, just say Derrick Henry, and everyone knows what you're talking about.
Tank.
So that offense is going to be unreal. That play action, what do you do? Do you guard Derrick Henry off the play action? Do you go after A.J. Brown, throw everyone at him? Do you go after Julio? What do you do?
I mean, if that man catches the ball out of the backfield, Mack truck, and it's picking up speed, I mean, he's still one of the fastest running backs in the league. I mean, that offense with Taylor Lewan running shotgun up front, nobody's getting to Tannehill. Nobody's going to stop Julio. They're going to be a loaded offense, and it's going to be fun to watch here coming up in the fall. But as we get into the episode, we're also going to talk about, shockingly maybe, Montreal sweeping the Winnipeg Jets straight out of Winnipeg, straight out of Montreal, and now Montreal has a third-round matchup date with the Vegas Golden Knights, which I don't think they're going to have much of a chance. I mean, but, they shocked the NHL world. I mean, blowing Winnipeg straight out of town. I mean, never gave them a chance. Obviously, we're going to get into the Scheifele suspension, and maybe that had an impact on it. But the third round is going to definitely be interesting because nobody had Montreal coming out of the North.
Yeah, no, not at all. Especially with them going down 3-1 to the Maple Leafs. I don't think anyone projected them to make any type of noise.
They were on their way
in
out.
The first round. Yeah, in the first round, you're one loss away from just having to pack it all up, and then you literally win the next 7. You win the next 7 straight games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all things we're going to touch on, and as always, we're going to hit you with our Paradise Picks, and if you're new here, make sure you use code NOSEBLEED10 at checkout at vividseats.com for $10 off purchases of $100 or more, and we'll see you right after the intro. Hit him with the bow and arrow. All right, bang, bang. All right, bang. All right, we'll catch you later. And last night in the world of the NBA playoffs, the Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the Bucks were able to fend off going down 3-0 to the powerhouse Brooklyn Nets as they fought back. I mean, it was a shootout all game. I mean, Milwaukee came out hot. I mean, 9-0 to start the game. The Nets had to call that timeout. Giannis gave that little schmug. I don't know how to reenact it, but But I mean, I thought last night the Bucks were gonna be up 40 points after the first quarter because the start the Nets had. I mean, brick after brick after brick. Blake Griffin 2 fouls early.
Yeah.
You can't defend Giannis in the paint. So I mean, early on, I thought it was gonna be a runaway, but the Nets ended up making it closer than what I thought was gonna happen, which was nice in my sake for watching the game. However, nobody showed up for the Nets last night besides Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant once again proved why he's a playoff performer, and I think he's going to have to do that this next away game in Milwaukee because obviously the fans helped the situation with capacities being reopened. However, James Harden not being on the court. You leave Kyrie and Durant to do whatever they can. And after that, you got Bruce Brown maybe and Blake if he doesn't get into foul trouble. But if the Nets end up having the series go down 2-2 heading back to Brooklyn and the Bucks are able to steal Game 5, I could see the Bucks walking away with the series. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're Milwaukee, I don't feel very confident in my team after this because by no means did you play exceptionally well. Both teams shot below 40% from the field. Both teams shot below, I think, 20% from the three-point line, which is insane for the Milwaukee Bucks, who averaged 120 points per game during the regular season. Another thing to really just put into perspective with this Brooklyn Nets team is they are down their second best player, James Harden, and they're only losing by 3 points.
I mean, they had multiple trips. They had multiple trips last night to take the lead. I think it was, 4 or 5, like you said, both teams shooting under 40. It was, consecutive trips of 5-6 times down the floor. Each team don't make a basket, and it's a 1-point game. Still 73 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, the shooting percentages were awful.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more because I was watching it with my cousin, and it was halfway through the third quarter, and the score was 57-55 or something like that, really low. And I just kind of looked at the score. I'm like, wow, this is a very low scoring game. He's like, oh, don't worry, it'll still break 100. I was like,
yeah,
I don't know about that one, Chief. It reminded me a lot of the 04 Pistons, just the possessions, the pace and everything. A lot of empty trips for both teams. It really just felt like the stars came out to play. You just had Giannis, Middleton, and KD putting up numbers.
I mean, but Giannis was cold. Giannis was cold from outside the elbow.
He kept
all night.
No,
I mean, three. Shooting. What was he? One for 8, 1 for 9 from 3-point.
Yeah.
Let's 1 for 8 from 3-point. It was a brick factory last night.
There was a point where I think it was a tie game, and the Bucks had the ball, and I was sitting there with my cousin, and he looks at me and he says, "If Giannis pulls up from anywhere past the free throw line, I'm gonna spaz. I'm just gonna rage because you can't do that. If you want your team to win, you can't be taking settling for jump shots if you're honest, you know?
I mean, Kyrie did it last night too. There was one point where I think it was that fourth trip where they had a chance to take the lead and they were down 1. Kyrie rebound, gets the ball, moves it up the court. I mean, 1, 2, 3 steps over the halfway midcourt line. Brick 3. I mean, why are you taking shots?
Yeah.
Not even getting deep into the shot clock. It's just things that confuse me about basketball. These guys can make shots. They're professionals. They know what they're doing. I mean, obviously, KD proved that last night. I think he had 9 straight down the stretch when him and Middleton were exchanging buckets. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat because every shot was just flush for KD. And PJ Tucker, him and Durant got into it last night. So I'd like to see where that goes Game 4.
Absolutely. If you are Milwaukee... Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just looking at PJ Tucker's stat last night. I don't know what room he has to talk. 0 points, 33 minutes.
Yeah,
He's he could be one of those memes on Bleacher Report with the good old stats. Another Tony Schnell meme. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 across the board, talking shit to one of the best players in the league.
Yeah, that was a highlight of the afternoon. I definitely would like to see where that does lead because it's definitely not going to calm down. It's the playoffs. Tensions are only going to get higher and higher. If you are Milwaukee though, you want to win this series in 6. If you you need to win, I think the next 3 if you want to be really confident. I just don't see Milwaukee winning in 7.
You can't give the Nets a home game in 7.
Yeah. Especially you got to think by that time James Harden should be back, I'm assuming. We don't really know how serious that hamstring injury is.
No.
But I feel like this next game will dictate a lot going into Game 4 and then Game 5. I feel like this is going to decide the way that the rest of the series goes. Because if Milwaukee can tie it up going into Brooklyn with James Harden still out, that's a big key right there. But if Brooklyn takes a lead going up 3-1 back to Brooklyn, it's done in 5, I think.
So, obviously, last night, Giannis and Middleton were the stars on Milwaukee. 4 for 9 from the line for Giannis. 8 for 9 for Middleton. Left 6 points on the floor. They won, obviously, but even the broadcasters were like, Giannis needs to change up his free throw ritual. You know, he got a 10-second violation for not shooting the ball in 10 seconds at the line. I mean,
that's the second one this playoffs.
Yeah, 6'11", dude. You lay the ball in the basket. But I get big men always have a hard time, making free throws. But if this dude's trying to bury threes from the parking lot, I don't see what's so difficult about putting up a free throw in under 10 seconds.
Yeah. That was actually kind of crazy that he did end up getting called for that. I don't know if you saw at the Nets game, the NBA actually had to ask them to take down they put up a timer up on the Jumbotron, and the NBA had to ask him to take it down every time Giannis went to go shoot free throws.
I did not see that. That's pretty funny. I think that's a pretty easy shot to take.
Funny.
But flipping the script here over to the Utah Clippers game last night, it looked like it was going to be a pretty good game. Going into midway through the second quarter, still a 3-point spread, 6 at most.
Yeah.
And then the Jazz took off before the end of the half.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, burying bucket after bucket after bucket. They'd taken that 13-point lead in the half, and then after that, I flipped the channel for 10 minutes. I come back, and it's a 5-point game.
Yeah, no, it was really crazy. The Jazz really did take they just took charge of that game in the first and second quarters. They were up by 10 at the half. I think it was 53-43. Kawhi just honestly threw the team on his back. I felt like every possession he was involved in during that little run. I think they were on a 29-6 run,
29-7. Yeah, that's what I read on the stat.
Over 6.5. Yeah, over 6.5 minutes, and it brought them within 3 points. The Clippers ended up taking a lead at one point. They were down by 14.
Yeah, I
was.
Yeah, I was also. But it's that mentality of being at home. You're gonna heat up. Your star players are gonna heat up. Donovan Mitchell had that huge rest, going into the fourth quarter, and he was gonna come out. He made some difficult shots in the lane. I saw him put up last night, and just the things that these superstar players can have such a skill gap. When they get a good matchup, they're gonna take you to the rack no matter what. Even if the guy is 6'10". Yeah, but it was a great showing from the Jazz last night, and if the Clippers can't walk out of Game 3 with a win, I think it's going to be a quick 4-game series for the Jazz.
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually saw an article not too long ago, and I was quite skeptical on it until this series, I'd say. It said that Donovan Mitchell is one deep playoff run from being regarded as one of the best players in the NBA. And at first, I kind of just blew it off. But after watching this kid perform, and you take into the NBA bubble last year, you take that into consideration, and then you take this season into consideration. I mean, number 1 seed in the Western Conference, toughest conference in the league, and he's handling these defensive teams. Or no, I'm sorry, they're the number 2 team. I lied to you.
Who?
Sorry,
the Jazz?
But. Yeah, the Jazz are number 2.
No, I thought no. I thought Jazz was 1. But I thought
are they? Yeah, no, they are.
I thought last night I saw Jazz 1. Yeah, okay. I'm I don't know what graphics I'm reading.
Yeah.
But yeah, continue what you were gonna say.
I forgot where I was gonna go with that.
Yeah, me too.
Bogdanovich,
yeah.
Bogdanovich. I don't know if you saw, but he was locking Kawhi down during the stretch.
There
he
were some
putting him on clamps, but he was.
I think wasn't it that possession? Wasn't it that possession? There was a possession where Kawhi tried to drive 3 times, and if it was Bogdanovich, or maybe it was even Ingles, lockdown.
Yeah,
I mean, watching they throw up bricks. I mean, the last 7 possessions where the Clippers were still in the game, brick factory. I mean, forcing up tough shots, not allowing them to get to the rim, is. It was up to the Jazz to go up 2-0 heading into Game 3, and they got the job done.
Yeah, Reggie Jackson kept him in that game, most definitely.
Reggie Jackson, ever since he left the Pistons, I think he's gotten better, and same with Luke Kennard. And that was the one thing I was going to say, excuse me real quick, but Mitchell, 1 pick after Kennard for the Pistons.
Yeah.
Kennard trash.
It's rough.
It hurts.
Yeah, it's rough. Another thing that hurts is we also drafted Stanley Johnson over Devin Booker. That one hurts as well.
Yeah, but that guy's burnt out now, is he? I don't even know what team he's on anymore.
I think he's on like the Raptors or something. It was just terrible Stan Van Gundy trades,
Yes.
or draft picks. But yeah, no, I think we are on the verge of potentially seeing a 2006 Dwayne Wade-esque playoff run from Donovan Mitchell if he's able to make it past these Clippers.
Big comparison.
Yeah. That was like D Wade's, I think, second, third year in the league. Led the Heat to a championship. It was him and Shaq, I believe. And Donovan Mitchell is putting up like similar numbers. Like D Wade averaged that playoff series like 28, 6-6, like over the entire playoffs. And Donovan Mitchell's averaging, I believe, at least 30 in these playoffs. I don't know. I truly don't know what he's averaging so far, but I know he's scored. Like there was at one point last night, they said Donovan Mitchell has scored 59 points in the last 40 minutes on the basketball court. And like that was just insane, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the playoffs as a whole, NHL and NBA have been heating up, and we've seen great games and great series, and that's where I want to lead into next. Was that Avalanche Knights series, and I want to compare the two. One, I'm going to throw up a quick soundbite here of Nathan MacKinnon's press conference last night, post game 6.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's always next year. It's all we talk about. I feel like, I'm going in my 9th year next year and I haven't won shit. So I'm just definitely motivated, and I'm just, it just sucks, losing 4 in a row.
Just fuck it. We'll just go in next year and just not think that anymore and just win this thing when we don't think so much. Am I on the right path at all with this? Like maybe you just guys think a little too much?
No.
Last one here for Nate.
And that guy's next to McDavid as best player in the league. And McKinnon's time in Colorado, I feel like maybe fizzling out. Like he said last night, you even brought it up. It's his 9th year in the league, and he hasn't won shit, in his words. So the Avalanche were built to be powerhouses, and that's what they were during the regular season. But once again, like McDavid and Draisaitl, regular season point production may not transfer over into a championship, and we saw that last night from the Knights, and the Knights played a hell of a series. Hence why they're moving on to take on Montreal. Hopefully Montreal wins. It'd be great for the hockey community and Quebec itself. But what went wrong for the Avalanche to just blow that series? I wonder if it's almost worse than the Leafs blowing the series to the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, 4 straight games, you maybe get a couple bad bounces. The Stone goal, overtime goal, Game 5 was off a double blocked shot. But if you're Graves, do you dump that puck into the corner and maybe there's a different outcome of the game? They had multiple chances where they were leading in the third period in that series to close it out, and they just couldn't do it. So I want to know your thoughts. Like, what could the Avalanche have done with all this talent to, possibly make a deeper run into the playoffs? And now the Knights, once again, coming straight out of the expansion draft, proving that they're a mainstay here in the NHL.
Yeah, I definitely feel like playoff hockey, like the level of competition is a lot more equally distributed throughout
100%.
the league than in other leagues, such as basketball and football. Like like those top tier teams and those bottom tier teams definitely are able to put up a fight, and they'll look even out there while they're playing each other, even if, like you said, the Colorado Avalanche are that superstar team. I feel like that goes with the Toronto Maple Leafs as well, that superstar team. And
a lot of money into a couple players that they just can't ever get it done.
Yeah, it's really rough for the Avs because like the Knights, they're both well-versed teams in like this.
I mean, the Knights
area.
are gritty.
Like, they both made their run. Yeah,
I think Avalanche have a lot of talent. The Knights have veterans leading by example. I mean, Max Pacioretty, Marcia Show is coming into his own. Mark Stone's being a leader out there. They're getting a lot of help from Pietrangelo on the back end, and Marc-Andre Fleury in net is locking it down.
I was just gonna say that. Like, like you can't ask for like a better goalie than Marc-Andre Fleury. Like off of like just being an expansion team, just having to get thrown a goalie, like you get one of the greats thrown at you.
Yeah, sorry, I was messing around with Joe on the camera. Keep going.
No, you're fine. But yeah, no, it's a rough one for the Avs, especially to lose like 4 straight. Like you go up 2-0 and you lose 4 straight. Like one of those games, you're throwing them a goose egg going into the third period. They tie it up in like a minute and a half.
And that's what hurts is it was the same thing with the Leafs. You're one bounce away from possibly the series being changed. The Canadians played a hell of a series in order to beat the Leafs, and now they're going to have to play against Vegas. And Vegas has shown, in the past, present, and most likely in the future for years to come, that they are the team that is going to be a powerhouse. And maybe, win the Western Conference the next couple of years, and maybe walk away with the President's Trophy next year. But looking also into the future, into the next round, the Islanders stealing one from the Bruins, sending the Bruins pack.
Yeah.
I put up that commercial of Pasternak. I'll play it. The commercial of Pasternak with the puck in the corner. It's the Stanley Cup because Pasternak can't get it.
Aren't you worried about an empty net?
No, I'm pretty cool. Plus, the puck is in that spot no one can ever really get to. So,
guys, I'm like super annoyed right now.
Where there's hockey, there's Duncan.
And the Islanders have the Nassau Coliseum rocking every night, and they got people here on Long Island believing, like they've ever believed in something before. And with the Knicks getting bounced, it's just the next greatest thing. But I don't know if the Islanders have enough firepower to beat Vasilevsky over there down in Tampa.
Yeah, no, it'll definitely be a interesting series. I definitely feel like Boston matched up better with Tampa than New York, but that doesn't matter now because New York won. Obviously, if the Isles want to compete in this series, they're going to have to fire shots off.
I mean, they're going to have to get a bunch of shots on that because in that series against Boston, they got heavily outshot. And in that game, they won 5-4, 26 shots, 5 goals, and they got peppered by Boston. If Varlamov ends up being the number one for this next series, has to just step up, strap in, and put his skates on the ice and dig in because it's going to be one hell of a series, playing against that high-powered Tampa offense who now have Kucherov, Stamkos, Sergachev, Hedman, and Vasilevsky, possibly the best goaltender in the league on the back end. It's going to be a couple good series here, and if Montreal can compete with Vegas, I think we're looking at another good 2 weeks of playoff hockey and basketball here coming up.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a great 1 week stretch because we are going to, get the NHL conference finals. It will be underway on Sunday, and then the basketball will semifinals. They'll be finishing up here shortly. But do you want to talk about the Phoenix Suns and Denver Nuggets? That matchup?
Dude, D-Book and Joker, I mean, prime time. Every team's got their one superstar, and I think Book and Joker, without, Jamal Murray, it's going to be a stretch, but, if you want to hit it off, be my guest.
Yeah, no. If the Nuggets have Jamal Murray, this is a completely different series. I believe that this one is like probably one that does go 6 or 7 with Jamal Murray. Without Jamal Murray, I see it going 5, maybe 4. It really depends on what happens tonight. But matchups matter so much in basketball. Like, it's just insane. Like, Portland just didn't have an answer for Jokic, and he exposed them, and that's what made them advance. But that makes you think, would Portland match up better with Phoenix than Denver does right now with their guard depth? With Denver being down at guards, does Portland fare a better chance against Phoenix, throwing bodies like Norman Powell, Robert Covington, Derek Jones Jr.?
Yeah, they got some big boys on the inside.
Such as Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder. Like, you can switch all 3 of those defenders on any of those offensive players, and they might match up better than a Will Barton, Campazzo type player, which is just crazy because I feel like it is like just a league of matchups, and I think we're reaching like basketball is just getting better and better and better as the years go on. Like, Donovan Mitchell's 24 years old.
That's what, like, I liked how you brought that up, the league of matchups. When Blake Griffin, 2 fouls last night early, let Giannis cut in that first quarter. Yeah. And he was dominating on the inside, cold from the outside. But you could see when you don't, it's a lot different from the NHL when you're rolling 4 lines and 3 and 5 and 4 different players at a time. You're basically running. KD played 43 minutes last night.
Yeah,
5 minutes short of a Foley.
Is they had Bruce Brown out there playing center. Like, I don't know if you saw that, but they were using Bruce Brown in the pick and roll at the top and like letting him go straight at Brook Lopez. Yeah, they were letting him go straight at Brook Lopez off the pick and roll. And he was actually getting like his little floaters to drop, and he would make a good pass every now and then. But like, Mans is like 6'4" with a 6'9" wingspan. They got him running the 5. Like, how do you stop this team? Like, I think we don't I don't see Brooklyn putting up that bad of a shooting performance on back-to-back nights.
No, they're gonna come off
no
firing.
matter who they play. Yeah, no matter who they play.
But that's got to be a thing for Giannis as well, to be able to recover from his. He can't just drive. Obviously, Chris Middleton's got him to back him up. But once Harden's back, once Kyrie's kicking, I mean, Kyrie was a commander out there, but like behind the 3-point line. He had a couple nice step backs last night. And once you get all 3 of those guys back in the lineup with Blake, you got 4 guys who could possibly play against 5 with no issue. And that's what's scary about this team. So
what's even scarier is like they had the potential to have LaMarcus Aldridge on this team as well. But he decided to retire. And like, imagine like that starting 5 of Kyrie, James Harden, Blake Griffin, Kevin Durant, LaMarcus Aldridge.
All-star game, bro. It's like the Globetrotters.
Like that's like that team will dismantle the 2017 Warriors, you know?
Yeah, it's just all around great for the sport because it's for the first time, since 2012, 13, no LeBron or Curry in the finals?
Yeah, it's like the first time since like then there's no LeBron or Curry in the finals, and I think it's like the first time since like 1998. Don't quote me on this. I think I'm wrong. I actually might not be wrong. I don't know, but it's the first time since in a very long time that the Miami Heat, Golden State Warriors, Cleveland Cavaliers, or the San Antonio Spurs will not be in the NBA Finals, or the Los Angeles Lakers.
It's just I mean, I heard an announcer say last night it's a new year, it's a new breed of talent coming in, it's a new age for the NBA, and it's going to be a whole lot of different matchups. You know, older guys shuffling out. Lopez, you know, I'm surprised he could shoot the 3 ball as well for being a big man, because I remember him and his brother, you know, back in the day. Game. Yeah. So
he's transitioned his game to be an outside shooter. Really pair well with Giannis. Yeah, no, but like the NBA, like we are definitely reaching an apex of like, I don't think we'll ever see worse basketball again. Like, you know, like I think from here on out, like basketball is just going to get better. Like we are just reaching an apex to where like these players are developing at a rate that like it's just so competitive in this league. Like you have young stars like Trae Young, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, Luka Doncic. Like those 5 are going to like run the league for the next 10 years. And they're running the league right now against the people that run the league right now. Like Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, Kevin Durant. Like these kids are actually fighting against these players. And like I was talking to some people and they would rather, like, they don't want to see that the Jazz win this series. They want to see the Clippers win the series. And I'm like, what do you have against Donovan Mitchell and like this young core? Like, don't you want to see them like do good? They're like, I have the next 10 years for that. I want to see Kawhi and Paul George go in there and fight in the conference championship. I'm like, that's a valid point, because like these guys don't have the rest of like 10 more years. Like Kawhi and Paul George, they don't have 10 more years to run the league. They've probably got 5 to 7, you know, something like that. Whereas like, and they'll probably see a steady decline in their numbers after 3 or 4. So it's just interesting to see like the direction that all sports are going towards, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how everything pans out tonight. You know, who's gonna win, what matchups are gonna work out in reality. But if you plan on going to a game, make sure you use code Nosebleed10 at checkout at vividseats.com for $10 off your order of $100 or more. And after that long talk about the playoffs, we're gonna, you know, quickly discuss the Mark Scheifele hit on Jake Evans, discuss why he was suspended 4 games, and, you know, does that really change the series against the Canadiens? I'll throw the hit up on the screen here for you during the transition, and we'll catch you back in a second.
There first, the net is empty. Can he tuck it in? He does. Pays a price, but scores the goal. And Scheifele flattens Evans, who hasn't got up.
Fought at this point, and it's basically over. And he runs through the...
And that was a brutal hit. I was watching it live. I jumped up, screamed, thought the guy was dead. Thank God he's okay. Huge hit by Scheifele. I mean, the NHL was divided on both sides of the fences about this hit. And my question is, going back to one of our earlier segments in the show, in a previous episode, is Scheifele suspended 4 games. Wilson beating the shit out of Panarin, grabbing Buchnevich by the neck, nothing. Do you think the NHL Department of Player Safety have cranked up the fines, cranked up the suspensions? I mean, Kadri got suspended 8 games as well from the Avalanche, and they're obviously done for the year. So do you think the Department of Player Safety, with all that heat they took, especially getting that letter from the Rangers and the statement, which led to the GM and president being fired, do you think the Department of Player Safety has kind of tried to make it more safe, like a more safe atmosphere, so to speak, with these fines and suspensions?
Yeah, I definitely think that they want to put up that appearance that they are making a change and moving in the right direction to enforce player safety. Obviously that's should be your number one concern. Without these players, you don't have teams, and without these teams, you don't have a league. And these players are these team owners, everything to them. It is crazy that he got 4 games for that. Wilson got 0. I was watching that live as well. It was a gnarly hit.
Monster.
I mean, it could have been a lot. Yeah, it could have been a lot dirtier than it actually was. I think that if Evans doesn't go for that wraparound goal, obviously he's not going to get flattened. He maybe could have passed the puck out. That might not have been the best hockey play in order for him. But I do get it. You want to seal the game, just get that empty netter in. But you've got someone coming in there to play the puck.
It was tough to see the way that Evans obviously fell, hurt.
Yeah.
The outcome of it a little bit, but Sean Avery went on Twitter and said, Sean Avery went on Twitter and he's like, it's the playoffs, dude. Keep your goddamn head up or you're gonna get leveled. I mean, Matthew Barnaby said, Scheifele took a 190-yard stride and railed the guy. If the guy really wanted to stop the goal, he's diving at the puck. Obviously, trip the guy, take out his legs. Anything could happen. At the end of the day, it was a monster hit. I don't think he deserved 4 games. I think it was wrong on the league to give him 4 games. He was obviously very upset that the fact that he even said in a sound bit that he was hoping that he was going to get shut down by Philip Deneau, or he thought he was going to get shut down by Philip Deneau, but instead the league shut him down. So that was tough to see for Scheif and his team to get swept out the floor. But we're going to keep moving quick here, Ty, and we're going to hit you with our Paradise picks, and we'll see you right back. And we hope you enjoyed that episode number 7 of the Nosebleeds Podcast.
Yes,
quick little episode, gave you our thoughts on the playoffs. Hopefully tonight is the same story. A lot of good games on the slate. Ty, who do you got tonight between the Nugs and the Suns here?
I think the money is worth looking at the Suns. I saw that they were underdogs, so I'll definitely consider that. They're underdogs. That money does look good. How about you?
What about what I mean, I'm thinking Suns. I think realistically, there's no hockey on the slate. I wish there was hockey on the slate. But I think for tonight, I like the Suns. And when looking at the Sixers and Trae Young, the Hawks are at home, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough toss-up game, whether or not, the Hawks can guard the 76ers big men. But if Trae Young takes over in that game tonight, I think the Hawks are going to pull one out at home. What do you think about that game?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we saw the Hawks do it against the New York Knicks the entire last series. Trae Young has that ability to take over a game. And, the Hawks, I think they're the miniature Golden State Warriors. They're building themselves after what the Warriors were in, 2016.
They got a superstar in the development.
Yeah, so I think that it just really depends if Philly can keep up with all that offensive power. Philly is a long defensive team. I think it should be a dogfight, hopefully.
Well, I'd love to hear it, and I'm hoping we see some good games tonight. And for the next episode of Nosebleeds Podcast, we are going to have sports trivia with 2 contestants playing for these prizes right here, these beautiful packs of cards. Very expensive. They're worth like $2,000. No big deal. Spent it all my own money. But hopefully, you know, you guys enjoyed this episode, and hopefully there's a lot of good sports on tonight. As always, I'm your host, Stash Kowalski, and this is Tyler Stumpo. We will see you on the next episode.